What's up, guys? Here with you, FC Wonder Kid, episode 159. Here with my guy, Bretson. How are you?
I am not yet fully recovered. What a game, or what a second half. But, what a game, what an atmosphere, what a time, what a legacy, what a track record. I know people cringe at the whole mentality, beast, whatever type of situation with Real Madrid, but you, sir, cannot argue. 2 in the last 3 years. What is it? 5, like 6 in the last 11 years. 5 in the last 9 years. It's unparalleled, and it is absolutely deserved. But that's also not without giving the plaudits to Borussia Dortmund because they had them running in that first half. They had them running, and that is what made it just a beautiful game because we all knew Real Madrid was just trying to just wear him down, right? And it was a game plan, and that game plan almost failed, and we'll walk through specifics. But my goodness, I'm already entering into the details because all I want to do, Alex, is talk about it. So let's go. But that's not all that's on tap, right? We've got a whole lot more we're going to talk about today.
Exactly. We're going to hint on the young player of the tournament with Euro 2024. We will be talking with a team of the season of under 21 players and under 23. We saw your comments, people, and we're going to be talking about transfers because the big confirmation that happened after the UCL game, one day after, we warned it was going to happen afterwards. Mbappe is going to Real Madrid, and we will be talking mad about that transfer. But yes, Real Madrid have won the 15th Champions League, totally deserved. Carlo Ancelotti, in his career, he's won 5 Champions League. No one has ever matched. And just for people to get a perspective, you combine Mourinho and Pep Guardiola's wins in the Champions League, it gives you 5. That's the level of Don Carlo Ancelotti, that if we count him as a player, he's won it 7 times. 7 times. As a person, 7 Champions League titles for a man with football heritage. And Real Madrid in this campaign, it was the first time ever that they won the Champions League with 0 losses. That is a mad feat. 13 wins, 4 draws. They don't lose.
I know that's just so unbelievable to me. You've won it 15 times, and this is the first time that you go unbeaten. That's unbelievable. And considering, obviously, considering the volume there, it's just so bonkers, though, that at the end of this game, at the end of this match, right, and the subsequent announcement of Mbappe beyond that, and here we go, that followed. I don't know of a team that has already strengthened their roster the moment the UCL final has ended, right? And that's unbelievable. And you already had Florentino Perez basically saying, like, all right, let's gear up for the next one. Yeah, 100%. And it's kind of like, whoa. Maybe it is a little bit too much of a mentality monster because it's like, you guys can, like, enjoy this a little bit. But he's already thinking to next year. Because Florentino Perez wants number 16 already.
Exactly.
Unbelievable, man.
With Mbappe coming, okay? This, by Real Madrid winning the Champions League this season, it says we have the best team in the world. Undoubtedly. And now you have Kylian Mbappe that outside of Real Madrid, he's the best player in the world, in my opinion. So next season, Real Madrid will have Vinicius, Mbappe, and Jude Bellingham. 3 players definitely in any top 5 list of best players in the world. And that happens because of top management by Florentino Perez. It's going to be historic what we're going to see. And Toni Kroos had, as he said, the perfect ending in club football. And now he's going to the Euros with this mentality to win with an Nagelsmann that has military training for these players in training camp. See the photos. It's actually mad. When Kroos comes, when Rudiger comes to this training ground, it's gonna be insane. But Toni Kroos, I'm happy to see. I'm happy to see it.
Absolutely. I mean, what a way to go out, right? Exactly. And yet it's not him. It's not him that what is that? That's his 6th Champions League final, correct? 6 Champions League final, 6 Champions League win. But it is not him that holds the record of 6 Champions League final starts, 6 Champions League final wins.
That's a Real
and
Madrid
the
Academy
man
player.
Exactly. And I love the picture that resurfaced literally yesterday. I love the picture that resurfaced of him as a tyke, as a little kid, helping to open one of the academies, right? Helping to open that. And I think he was doing it with Di Stefano at the time. But it is Dani Carvajal, right? Who we are talking about is Dani Carvajal. 6 wins in 6 starts. And not only that, Alex, he scores his second only Champions League goal. He went 69 or 70 games in the Champions League without scoring after his first, and he decides to score the one. He's one of the smallest guys on the pitch. He decides to score it with his head, and he decides to score the match winner. And you're like you said, yeah, he's La Fabrica, and that is just, it's a beautiful thing because you have this new version of the Galacticos, but when it all comes down to it, it's that Dani Carvajal influence. And yeah, 6 and 6, man. And there's only 4 of them, I think, that have all 6, but he's the only one that has started all 6 and won all 6. I mean, just amazing stuff. Amazing
Breton. The 4 players are Nacho, Luka Modric, Toni Kroos, and Carvajal. And Carvajal represents just what you meant right there with longevity, passion. He might be the smallest on the pitch in terms of height, but in terms of hearts, that man has one of the biggest hearts for Real Madrid. He understands what it's to be a true Galactico. You felt that. And yes, Toni Kroos is now leaving, but the number 8 now goes to Fede Valverde. That just like Vinicius, he's got more than 10 trophies for Real Madrid, okay, since he's been right there. And we said it. Real Madrid have players with 6 Champions League with Nacho, Modric, Kroos, Carvajal. And they have a 21-year-old in all this, Camavinga, that in his career at Real Madrid, he's already won 9 trophies. 9 trophies. It's mad what they're doing with these youngsters. Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Vini, Rodrigo. It's so many players that are learning with this experience. And I guarantee you, long-term, Luka Modric and Toni Kroos will be remembered for their football ability, but for their mentoring too of this young generation that can dominate football in the next 5 to 10 years. They're slowly developing a Camavinga, a Tchouaméni, a Rodrigo, a Jude Bellingham, a Vinicius, and Arda Güler that is always next up Kroos. So keep going bold, Real Madrid. Luka Modric stays. Stays next season.
Yeah. And to add a little more to that, I mean, I know you're talking Kroos, I know you're talking Luka Modric, but I honestly believe that the MVP of this particular match for Real Madrid was obviously their defense and the season, right? Think about what they have been dealing with this season in terms of the absences, in terms of the injuries that they've had to overcome, the ins and outs. I mean, there's a couple things that I really have to throw out here from a defensive perspective. I said I was not in the camp of Carlo Ancelotti yanking the start away from Andre Lunin. And guess what? That is why Carlo Ancelotti is paid the big bucks, and that is why I am not. Because he was right in starting Thibaut Courtois. Okay? Not only that, we mentioned Dani Carvajal. We also need to mention Antonio Rudiger. Antonio Rudiger for me, Alex. Antonio Rudiger gives you that kind of like old school defensive presence that just really irks people, scares people before you even factor in the fact that he's a pretty dang good defender, right? And there's just so much of this that this defense gets lost because the offense does a lot of the work, it seems, right?
True.
But Antonio Rudiger has only been there since 2022. He's already won every trophy. He's won the Champions League now, his second.
He won his first La Liga this season.
Chelsea.
True.
Won his first La Liga. He won the Copa del Rey when he came on over. He won the Super Cup, Spanish Super Cup. He won the Copa. I already said the Copa del Rey, and as you mentioned, La Liga. And his presence, his signing was absolutely key to keep everything together this particular season. But just to back up really quickly, because it was Courtois and Dani Carvajal in the first half for me that kept Real Madrid's kind of plan in place of wearing down Dortmund before they could really pounce in the second half. I mean, 20th minute, you had a through ball which found Adeyemi. Right?
True.
Courtois pushed him to the side, and then Dani Carvajal, with his recovery, was able to actually smother the kid. I feel for Adeyemi because he had multiple chances. Then you had the Fulkrug put through. That obviously was more so a save on Courtois. Adeyemi was put through again, and this time Rudiger tracked him. I mean, there were multiple points where you could literally say that Dortmund should have been ahead. And I wonder if it would have changed the game at all if it weren't for how good and how cohesive that Real Madrid defense stayed together. So I just wanted to bring that up because Courtois proved me wrong, although I still feel for Lunin not getting the start. Hell, he still gets a Champions League medal. Yeah, and he probably will leave. You're right, because of it. But in the end, Courtois was the right pick, and in the end, it was Carvajal that was the star. It was Rudiger that was the star for me, and you mentioned another in Ferland Mendy and Nacho, captaining the side. Correct? Did he not captain the side? I think he did.
He was. Yes.
Beautiful stuff.
Beautiful stuff. Completely. Nacho, completely a leader in that team. But so you highlight the defense. I will highlight Carlo Ancelotti. Carlo Ancelotti 100% has to be in the Mount Rushmore of best managers ever in the history of sports. Okay? This is what I mean. From 2003, he won his first UCL. Now, he wins it in 2024. Real Madrid had many injuries in defense with Alaba, Eder Militão, only one loss in La Liga. They go undefeated for their first time ever in the Champions League, and this season, did Real Madrid play with a star striker in front? No. They relied on the tactics of Carlo Ancelotti towards having a Jude, Rodrigo, and Vinicius Jr., which he was confident before the season even started that Jude would score the goals. Carlo Ancelotti, masterclass this season in football. The best manager this season in football. He has to be awarded by, I don't know, the best manager when they do the FIFA awards. Whatever awards, give it to Ancelotti.
Let's start another award.
Just give it to Ancelotti. Unreal.
We just need, I mean, we spent a lot of time talking this season about Guardiola's 4 Premier League in a row.
First time ever, too.
Which is obviously absolutely insane. But just think, and I know Ancelotti has not been at the helm all this time, but over the last 11 years, they've won 6 Champions League trophies. True. Right? 6.
They've been in 26% of the finals of the Champions League in the competition.
It's unreal. And they don't lose finals, right? They generally do not lose finals when they're in them. And
I've got a stat.
I've got
a stat to go with
just one second, because if you could imagine the last 11 years without Messi, right?
Yes.
La Liga obviously would look very, very different. But they were still able to translate this to 6 UCL titles in 11 years. And it's just absolutely unreal to me. There is a mentality, whether or not you want to, you don't want to accept it, or there's a cringe factor to saying like these guys are just mental beasts and they tournament. No, there's something about playing for this club that just automatically elevates somebody. But we do need to remember where they've come from. They were born, I forget the Bane quote, right? They were born in the darkness. And they basically had to go through hell to get here, or UCL hell. Let's call it Champions League hell. Where, like 2003 to like 2013 or something, whatever the heck it was, they couldn't buy a Champions League title. In fact, they were known for being the first ones out. Okay, round of 16 or quarterfinals or whatever. They just couldn't get over the hump, and then they figured it out. And it just goes to show you that, recency effect is real. We remember this stuff, but this is unparalleled.
True.
What they've been doing and the dominance that they have in this particular competition is insane. It really is insane. So it's Ancelotti, it's Zidane, it's a lot of people, but it is the expectation. I guess it has to go to Florentino Perez.
Exactly.
As much as I,
Because he's the high standards
it's
man.
insane.
He's the man
Yeah,
who
he is.
convinces Mbappe afterwards. He's the man who says Vini, Rodrigo, they can come.
True.
Completely. His decisions what make Real Madrid the best team in the world. And to give some perspective with what you're saying, the last time Real Madrid lost the Champions League final, Carlo Ancelotti was 21 years old. Luka Modric was not even born, and Cristiano Ronaldo was 4 years old. The last time they lost the Champions League final. Now that's high standards, and that is the best team in sports. 15 Champions League. In second, we have AC Milan with 7. So they have more than double from the second place in the most important club level tournament. That is mad. But the last topic in all this that we got to mention.
Yes.
Vinicius Jr. deserves 100% now to win the Ballon d'Or. In 10 finals, he's been at Real Madrid. He's won 9. He's going to be the first Brazilian since 2007 to win the Ballon d'Or. And I hope in Copa America, he shows up and he becomes the best player in the tournaments ahead of Lionel Messi with Argentina. He's got to go bold, and he's the leader of this Brazil national team squad. One-on-one. Come on, Vini. Show up in this moment.
I mean, he's got to be up there, kind of, at least on the club level. I know he hasn't necessarily translated yet internationally, right, to international success with Brazil. That's still pending. But I mean, he is one of, I think, 2? Is he one of 2 to have multiple UCL final goals before the age of 23 or before
Lionel
the age of 24?
Lionel Messi and
him
Vini.
and Leo. That's it. I mean, he's got to be up there in the pantheon of best Brazilians ever, right, for their club side so far. And there's even a whole lot of chatter I saw. I know, and at 23, I mean, there's still so much for him, obviously, still to accomplish. But, not really on the club level, more so on the international level. And that's a starting process. They're getting there. I don't think it's going to happen this Copa America. You can put me on the record for saying that. But that is something that he will be working towards. I think they are easily going to be the favorites for 2026 in the World Cup. But as you mentioned, 9 wins in 10 finals. He has 11 goal involvements over those 10 finals. I think it's 7 goals, 4 assists. He's a big game player. He was quiet in the first half, and then he took over the second half. And he's been shutting up critics left and right all year, right? And the crazy thing that I've been seeing, Alex, on the Twitter channels and all that good stuff, has been, is Vinny, does he already have a bigger legacy than Neymar?
Yes. At 23.
Wow.
He's got more UCLs already, and I think he's got more goals in finals. The thing with Vinicius, he's the guy. Yeah. He was the best player on the field to make those goals happen. And obviously, he made the right career decision by going to Real Madrid. It's easier to talk right now. 2024 vision. Now that we can see Neymar leaving, and I don't want to say downfall, but from the decision of Barca leaving, he's not definitely now at the same level that we perceived him in the past. So
no. I mean, but here's the thing. If you put a highlight reel up of Vinicius and Neymar, I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, Neymar has given me more joy in terms of watching a footballer.
True.
Right? Do things I can't even comprehend. Right? Now, Vinicius is business, man. I mean, a little fun, but he's all business, dude. And a lot of that is because he is Real Madrid culture, right? It's just like there. It's him, and it did not start that way. For him, life at Madrid did not start that way. And I think we all need to realize that with Endrick, too, coming up, we should not necessarily expect him to, that's not the point of Real Madrid. It's not, come on in, little Brazilian and get going. No, it's come on in, and we are going to culture you. We are going to bring you up in this. You are going to be, baptized by fire, and we are going to get through this together. They did it with Rodrigo as well, to a lesser extent. He's still got a whole lot more to give. But it is absolutely Vinny's pole position, his Ballon d'Or to lose. And the only thing I can think about that would kill that is if, like, England won the Euros.
Mm-hmm.
England won the Euros, or Germany won the Euros, and they were out. Brazil was out somehow. They got grouped, and they were out in the groups in Copa America, which I don't necessarily see happening, although they do have a relatively tough group. But that I just have to say, I can't. Neymar, Vinicius Jr. has made better career decisions already at 23 years old, and that career decision has been, I'm going to fight my damnedest to get into this Real Madrid team. And then once I'm there, I'm going to continue to be Mr. Consistency. What is it? 20 plus goal involvement, or 20 goals, 20 plus assists over the last several seasons. He's just constantly become this icon for Real Madrid, constantly shutting up the skeptics. And then you compare that to Neymar, who lived in Messi's world, who lived in Cristiano Ronaldo's world.
Whoa.
Vinicius does not live in that world.
He could live in Mbappe's world. And he does share the stage with Jude Bellingham. I think there's more sharing the stage at an equal level than to the degree of Neymar and Messi. We always said Messi was better than Neymar. So I understand where you're coming from with that. And it does make sense. Vinicius Jr. became the first Brazilian to score in multiple Champions League finals. That is mad. Wow. And that shows that he's deserving to be in the top 3 of the Ballon d'Or as a guarantee. And if Brazil wins Copa America or even goes to the final, I would give it to Vinicius Jr. because that would be improvement for Brazil from the position they're on right now towards getting to the final, even though I know they're favorites next to Argentina and Uruguay. And the other player is Jude Bellingham. If Vinicius doesn't win the Ballon d'Or, the other player that must win it is Jude Bellingham. Or Mbappe just goes crazy in the Euros and we're like, Mbappe has to win it. But Jude Bellingham in his debut season, 23 goals, 13 assists, La Liga winner, Champions League winner, undefeated, and La Liga player of the season in his first season. This is a true Galactico and a man that has structure in his life. His family was 5 hours before the game even started there in the stands, showing support. And I gotta say, great job, Mark Bellingham. Great job to the mother of Jude Bellingham. Great people. They have great hearts. And these kids, Job and Jude Bellingham, they grew up to conquer the world of football. And they're going to do just that. Gosh. They're going to do just that, Bretson.
I still remember you and I arguing over the validity of Birmingham City retiring a 16-year-old's jersey. Like, what in the... Like, what in the world were you thinking? And now, in retrospect, they're laughing at us, and I don't blame them. I mean, it is an insane story that I don't think you or I realized. We knew Jude was good, but the thing about Jude that we've been seeing is he levels up everywhere he goes.
Exactly.
He didn't necessarily have that ability heading from Birmingham City to Borussia Dortmund. He didn't have that ability yet. He just leveled up, man, and he's so. A lot of that, Alex, is his ability as a person to take criticism, his ability as a person to build on his weaknesses and change his game and adapt, and that alone is just.
Why did he play at 16 for Birmingham? Because if he hadn't played at 16 for Birmingham at a senior level, he would 100% be at a Manchester United, a Chelsea team. They were interested, but that was the tough decision by him and his parents to say, no. We're going to stay at Birmingham. We're going to play senior football ahead of everyone, and we're going to get the attention of every top team in the world. Man United tried to convince with all those legends in the conversation, and he was dead serious saying, what's going to be my playing time? What's my expectations? And that's why he went to Dortmund, and that's why he's a top 5 player in the Ballon d'Or conversation in the next 5 to 10 years.
The counsel that he has received along the way, because clearly he has not been the guy. I mean, at 15 or 16, I'd be surprised if he was the one making the decisions. Right, exactly. And Dortmund was the perfect next step. This is so different than the Martin Odegaard going to Real Madrid at 15, right? It's just so different than that because Dortmund had the right mentality at that point in time. I mean, I know Christian Pulisic going over there and his dad going over there with him at that age, They knew it was kind of like a slam dunk for his development because even if he didn't necessarily break into the team, he had a stepping stone, and Dortmund is that club. They need to get back to being that club, I think, right? And that ties this in nicely because Jude Bellingham, to do this, obviously, to win the Champions League final, a guy like Aiden Terzic obviously knows Jude Bellingham well. Obviously, to see him, he's happy for Jude. He's happy for his family. But for Jude to do this against Dortmund, I think is just incredibly kind of poetic in some ways, because it's so bonkers to me, Alex, that Vinicius Jr. is 23, right? Jude Bellingham's 3 years younger. 3 years younger. He's 20. He carries himself like a 30-year-old. He's 20 years old, and I don't even know where he's going to go from here in terms of his development. Oh, I know he's going to stay. But
He'll play the 8.
in terms of his development, and I agree that the 8 is probably where he's going to be.
Imagine.
Just the sky's the limit for the man, and I'm very happy for a guy that always had time for us back when he was, making his way up. And not so much now because I completely understand everybody wants a piece of Jude.
But I'd love to have a conversation with Mark Bellingham. The proposal is out there. Mark Bellingham, with the experience that he's had in going with the career of Jude, you can see completely. It's not agents. It's not clubs. It's structure, family structure, and someone that knows a lot of football. Mark Bellingham clearly shows that he knows about the game and the business side. I'm sure the mother is going bold because you can see the seriousness out of her. Even when she meets, I should say, Mourinho, always keeps it personal, 100%. And just having these experiences is wonderful to see in football. But let us know down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What our Ballon d'Or talk with this, with Real Madrid winning? And don't forget to like this video for more videos.
Also,
just like this.
Sorry to interrupt, but can Real Madrid do it again next season?
Oh, yes, Brett. Real Madrid can do it because Mbappe will go there. We'll talk more in the transfers because that's
so many dynamics.
7
dynamics are going to shift with that.
They'll play in 7 competitions next season, okay? Real Madrid. But yes, this is the big topic that you guys, if you follow FC Wonder Kid, you know that we love young players, and the big competition is coming. Who will be the young player of 2024 this summer? The young player of the tournaments in the next Euros. We had Pedri in the last Euros. That man, he played every single game, and after the Euros, he played the Olympics. I hope whoever wins the young player of the tournament, the Euros, doesn't go and play in the Olympics, please, okay? But yes, this is going to be a very interesting conversation. But before we say our choices, let us know in the comment section yours, and if you win, if the player that you're suggesting in the comment section wins, well, you know where you left the comments, so you'll have bragging rights to say, I got it right, people, okay? I got it right in the FC Wonder Kid video about who is going to be the young player of the tournament in Euro 2024. So, Breton,
you bet.
How are you feeling on this one? Do we have a Portuguese man?
No, I mean, I can't, right? I'm looking at this, and we led with the whole fact that Jude Bellingham is under 21 still. Obviously, Jude Bellingham could potentially be the Golden Ball winner, depending on how this particular tournament goes for England. But going back to the young player Golden Ball, whatever you want to call it, young player of the tournament, it's only been around since 2016. And Renato Sanchez was the first one to win it. We know why. I mean, I remember that tournament. You remember that tournament very well. They ended up winning it that season, that year, 2020 or 2021, whichever you want to call it, was Pedri. Both of those guys were 18 years old. So I've got kind of 2 answers here. One is kind of the old head answer, and that's Jude Bellingham. It's got to be like Jude Bellingham. If England can go far, even if England doesn't win it, the fact that a 20-year-old is kind of the linchpin, the guy that needs the fulcrum of a team that should at least be in the semifinals, should probably be in the damn final, and is a favorite to potentially win the dang thing. Jude Bellingham has got to be up there for me as pole position for young player, but he could also be there for Golden Ball. So the other person I'm going to mention here is another Spaniard, and it's not surprising. it's Lamine Yamal. Lamine Yamal, as a 16-year-old, is not going to sit on the bench. And I think he's going to wind up being an absolute game changer for them, at least in the group stage, and see how far Spain can go. So I think we're going to go probably more attacking when it comes to this stuff. So Lamine Yamal is like my close second to Jude Bellingham if they decide they want to do, go for another teenager. But there's so many other names here, right?
So we don't have Scalvini and Antonio Silva.
We don't. No
joking.
Antonio Silva for me. Scalvini, maybe. What a season for him. But only 20 years old. It's whether or not Italy goes far.
No, but
which
it's not the case right now in terms of expectations for many people. But if Italy go far, it's because of the defense. That we know right now. But yes, with what you said, I hope that the young player of Euro 2024 doesn't happen what we saw last season in the Premier League. Erling Haaland winning the player of the season and the young player of the season. Because let's be honest, this Euros, Jude Bellingham could go bold, Florian Wirtz could go bold, and we would see history in full action. But if England wins it, I would like to see young player of the tournament maybe to Jude, and player of the tournament for Harry Kane if he performs better. And in the German side, young player for Wirtz and the actual player, Toni Kroos. That would be amazing. If Toni Kroos was the player of the tournament in Euro 2024, but that's another video which we will be filming, okay, people? Yep. But yes, the favorites, I agree with you, for young player of the tournament is Jude Bellingham, that if he wins that with La Liga player of the season, with Champions League, it's honestly like a drop a mic moment, because this man, the charisma, the aura, he's the best midfielder in the world right now. Undisputed. Undisputed. Yeah. But other English players that could be in the young player of the tournament in Euro 2024, next to Bellingham, you got Cole Palmer, the young player of the Premier League, Kobe Maino. Could Kobe Maino surprise the world? And the other name that I think should stay in the England national team, Braithwaite and Wharton. Adam Wharton. Imagine if Wharton was the starter next to Declan Rice with Jude Bellingham in front of him. That would be a huge statement. And Crystal Palace, that would be hard for them to keep a player like them. So this England national team, a lot of youngsters that can surprise in Euro 2024 next to Jude Bellingham.
I agree with you there. So with Germany, going back to them for a second, I know you mentioned Florian Wirtz. I think you probably mentioned Musiala in there somewhere. I still think Musiala has the ability. Oh, you didn't? Okay. Well, then there you go. I think Jamal Musiala's got to be up there. Still only 21 years old. So if Germany goes far, it's because Musiala and Wirtz are the real deal in jiving with, the Kimmichs, with Kroos. And hopefully they find a striker that's able to put the ball in the net. Maybe who knows? Maybe Maximilian Bayer is that guy, right? We'll talk about him in a little bit. But I'm going to go back to your Portugal, right? Because as far as I know, Nuno Mendes will start, correct?
I think he will, yes. And with Rafael Guerreiro not there, Nuno Mendes starts.
Yeah. Oh, right, because he's injured. Yeah. I honestly... 21 years old still. And I know he's been through a lot, but let's go. Let's go with like the Florian Wirtz type of a reascendancy back into relevance in a good way. I know he had already been doing that with PSG. He had some good, he had some bad. But what a flippin' story it would be if Nuno Mendes was the guy that just turned it all on, got it all together. I don't care if he's, throwing layups to Cristiano Ronaldo or whatever the heck he's got to do. He is going to be an absolute beast on that left side, and I'm here for that story if it happens. I'm here for it, and there's definitely a possibility of that happening.
100%. There's a possibility of Nuno Mendes being the best left back in the tournament. But I'll say this, since we're a young player of the tournament, it makes sense to say that. I'm going to go bold and say the best left back or left wing back in Euro 2024 will be Nuno Mendes. Now, people know that Nuno Mendes is here to stay, and if he's going to perform in Paris Saint-Germain, and he's going to perform for Portugal in the next 5 to 10 years. We know his quality, and it's not going to be Theo Hernandez. It's going to be Nuno Mendes. Definitely not Luke Shaw. definitely not
No,
Luke Shaw.
gosh.
Okay, people. And Spain doesn't even call up a Pedro Porro. I know he's right side. But look, these are the expectations I have, okay? At least for fullbacks. Portugal, with fullbacks, who will be the best player in Euro 2024? Cancelo and Nuno Mendes. And Diogo Dalot was he had a good season for Man United. Showed leadership. We are stacked. We are stacked, Brett.
Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah. It's but there are other names on these lists that we cannot dismiss, right? You've got Xavi Simons as part of the Netherlands setup. I think he'll be starting from day one, not surprisingly, only 21 years old. And what a season he's coming off of. And he's another guy that maybe to like a lesser extent, but Jude Bellingham-esque in the sense that every time Xavi Simons steps onto the field for a team and has somebody saying, oh, you're not going to be able to do something, he basically ups another level, right? And that's what he did for RB Leipzig this season. I could see him having that same effect for the Netherlands. We saw him a little bit in the World Cup. Not so much, but this time he's going to be a star of the show. You mentioned Warren Zaire-Emery, who would definitely see time in a very incredibly strong and influential midfield for France. And
doesn't start, sorry.
probably doesn't start, but I think he'll see plenty of time.
Yes.
I don't know if he's going to see enough time to have a Renato Sanchez type of effect, but we will see there. And then
start, Bretson.
That is true.
That could be
right.
the case with Warren Zaire-Emery, because the
Yeah,
French national team midfield is going to be Tchouaméni, Camavinga, and Antoine Griezmann. If Warren Zaire-Emery is instrumental coming off the bench like we saw with Renato Sanchez in 2016, he could be the young player of the tournament, because in terms of ability and talents, we all know Warren Zaire-Emery has just that. PSG, lock him in next 5 years. Best academy product, maybe. Could have that potential.
He could, but there's also the question mark. You know, we always are watching Turkey. We're always watching Turkey, and whether or not any of these, we know the young talent, we know the potential, we know that there are future rock stars in Arda Güler, Semir Kılıçsoy, Kenan Yildiz, Kaan Uzun. Yeah, it's just, will any of them grab that Turkish national team by the scruff of its neck and literally force them to do something? Just do anything, Turkey.
Could they
right?
beat us?
We want. Oh yeah, I mean anyone can beat anyone on any given day. I think Turkey's got enough. I think they do have enough unknown quantities, right? That it's kind of hard to prepare for any one of these four guys and whether or not any of them will even start for them. And it really comes down to kind of how structured the coaching has been. It's not exactly been bold coaching for Turkey the last 10 years. And you're working against a mindset right now. Turkey does not. There's no mindset that Turkey is able to have these beautiful results. Like they're kind of Serbia-esque in that sense, where they have this ridiculous talent on the pitch and they just can't seem to put it together as a team, right? It's been a long time since the years of Hakan Şükür and others before him. So you have to watch them. Do I think that the young player of the tournament's going to come from there? Probably not, but my goodness, you can't dismiss any one of those names. Like, those are just phenomenal talents waiting to have that international level. And that's the difference here with some of these big national teams, the ones we're talking about, Yamal and hell, we can even say Pedri still qualifies as a 21-year-old. Nico Williams.
Exactly.
Right? So many great names, but a lot of it comes down to the fact that when these national teams step foot on the pitch, there is obviously that standard. And these guys automatically meet those standard, and Turkey needs to get there, and they haven't gotten there yet.
Well said.
So we'll see.
And under 18, Semir Kılıçsoy, Kaan Uzun, they're all fit that category. That is mad that they're getting that chance for Turkey. Deservingly too. I like how you give that focus. And young strikers in Euro 2024 that could be the young player of the tournaments. It's bold right now to say it. Benjamin Sesko, that I saw in a friendly score against Portugal. Our only loss with Roberto Martinez. And the other striker is the man that for Man United is not his best version, but for Denmark, we see his best version. 12 games, 7 goals. Rasmus Winter Højlund, a young striker that could go bold in this Denmark national team squad. But I want to say my favorite, because we started with Jude Bellingham. And yes, it's hard not to put Jude Bellingham in your best young player of the tournament for Euro 2024, but I'm going to pick Florian Wirtz. The man that only lost once, the man who's playing in home soil, and the man that inspired Julian Nagelsmann, next to Jamal Musiala, towards him saying no to Bayern Munich and believing in the project of Die Mannschaft. That one of the best midfielders in the world of football right now, and he's going to stay at Leverkusen. That shows true character, okay? I don't know for how much will Florian Wirtz leave Bayer Leverkusen next summer, but whoever gets him, they will have to spend more than 100 million. Imagine if it's Real Madrid getting Xabi Alonso and Florian Wirtz when they have Jude Bellingham, Mbappe, Vini. They'd have for sure the best team in the world, okay? It will be more of a confirmation that they have the best team, and it's more of a confirmation that Florentino Perez is the best president ever in football. Pinta Costa, I'm sorry, but I gotta say that.
Well, we didn't mention
Pinta Costa.
Yeah,
so
well,
that's why I said
that's
sorry.
insane. Well, I mean, that's a lot of trophies. That's a lot of. I mean, they almost don't mean anything anymore after having that many.
They do.
I'll take some. I'll take some if he wants to send some my way. Some other dark horses I'm going to throw out there. If Jared Branthwaite, you mentioned England. I would love to see Branthwaite somehow find his way into a starting role. I don't know if Southgate has that in him, and we'll probably not see it. But he definitely deserves a shout because I think he could be one to come up. I've often said that I see him as a England starter for the next 10 years for them easily. He needs a little more development.
Better than Levi Colville?
Colville's going to find his way onto the pitch based on the fact that he is versatile as all get out. But as an out-and-out center back, yes, I see him as a better center back.
I have doubts if Colville will be the center back in the next 5 to 10 years. You said Brathwaite will be, so that's why I asked.
Yeah, they'll be in the same side. And I think another name you've got to throw out there is one we've already mentioned, which is Eduardo Camavinga. Whether or not he's going to, who knows what he's going to play for France. It'll likely be in midfield. But if called upon, he'll get it done wherever he needs to go. But France very likely, are going to be within the semifinals unless there's a massive shock. Camavinga will get his time to show his worth. And that's one you cannot dismiss there because we know that sometimes they favor teams that obviously go far in terms of young players. And then beyond that, Belgium. What is this new look Belgium going to kind of have? Obviously, you've still got the Lukaku, the De Bruyne, but you've got some young guys in there. Zeno de Bast, who's probably going to be joining Sporting sometime soon at center back. You've got Artur Vermeeren in the midfield, who's kind of lost some luster as he went to Atleti, and he's finding himself in La Liga. And then you've got Jeremy Doku on one side, and you've got Johan Bakayoko on the other side, and all four of those guys, I think all four of those guys qualify. And Doku, any one of them could have a tournament for them. Doku in particular.
That's a very good, bold suggestion. But let us know your choices down below. Like this video for more Year 2024 content, and go bold in the comment section with your predictions, people, okay? And it makes sense now to talk about this topic that is the team of the season of players 23 and under, and we will have a squad of 21 and under. If you guys say they're not wonder kids if they're 23, okay, people, we got a squad for you guys too that believe 21 and under too. I will start, and I will mention my squad right at the start because we got to go bold in this video since you guys clicked on it. Thank you for listening until now at the start. So my best under 23 11 this season. No, my best team 23 and under this season in football. I have Carnaceci in goal, goalkeeper of Atalanta. Then my three at the back, I have Joško Gvardiol, Saliba, and my third center back. I wanted to put Kubarsi, but I'm going to give the shout out to Scalvini, that he won the Europa League first time for Atalanta. My two in midfield, I put Camavinga and Phil Foden. Then my wing backs, I put Destiny Udogie and Jeremy Frimpong. And my three up fronts, I put left wing Vinicius Jr., I put right wing in an all position type player, Florian Wirtz, and my striker. It has to be the striker, the best striker in the world of football. That is 23 and under. It's Erling Haaland. So this is my squad, aged 23 or under, best of the season. And I have loads of snubs, including João Neves, Warren Zaire-Emery, Pedri, Cole Palmer. I don't have Cole Palmer. I put Florian Wirtz and Phil Foden ahead of Cole Palmer this season. It was very hard. Wow. It's hard to say this, okay? But I believe Maresca will Cole Palmer next season. It's going to be very bold. But Phil Foden and Florian Wirtz made history in football. It was unprecedented what we saw with Florian Wirtz. Only losing once, and it was in the final, unfortunately, for Leverkusen fans. Woo!
Wow. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how. It's so tough when you go the 23 route. It really is. There's too many snubs because there's the mainstays. I just feel like everybody has been. Well, Erling Haaland obviously has been reliably amazing the last whatever years, which basically always locks down the striker position. But to be honest, when we do the U21s, you will actually see that the depth beyond the U23s. There's been some good seasons, but there haven't been like amazing seasons for going a little bit younger than that. So it's probably good we have a Haaland because aside from that, you'll see who we're talking about.
But the defense was hard, Breton, because me putting my best defense 23 and under with Gvardiol, Saliba, and Scalvini, I must accept that snub is one of the best center backs this season in football too. Riccardo Calafiori. Calafiori was instrumental for Bologna to go to Champions League football. I snubbed Cubarsí that had a great few matches with Barcelona. I snubbed Diomande. I snubbed Gonçalo Inácio. Maybe Jarel Hato is worth the mention, and Braithwaite too. But I could not pick ahead of Gvardiol, Saliba, and Scalvini. All instrumental this season.
Yeah, I'd have to have it listed in front of me to like really pick yours apart, but it sounds right. It's just a difficult thing. It does. It did sound right to me. I think the Udogie thing, Udogie I have in the U21s. I'll tell that in a second, but my goodness, we're gonna miss him at the Euros. I really wish he was another one I would have listed up there. Along with Calafiori, who I have needled into my U21s, even though he just turned 22. So I'm kind of I'm changing the goalposts or moving the goalposts farther away type of situation, and it's such a difficult thing to do. But I have mentioned in the past that the fullbacks, it hasn't been a phenomenal year for fullbacks. It really hasn't.
I tend to disagree, Brenton.
Destiny Udogie had a phenomenal first start to the season, and then injuries and coming back from injuries, and then injuries again kind of hampered that.
Malo Gusto.
But even they, like Jan Kuto, some of these guys had relatively inconsistent seasons. Even though they broke out. Like the fact that we're talking about a Connor Bradley. Is just a kind of a testament to that. It doesn't. I'm not saying that they're not good enough. I'm just saying that it's not as if somebody has gone in there and had like 50 flippin' appearances.
Frimpong.
Frimpong's exactly. Frimpong is the closest thing you do, and he's 23.
I liked Malo Gusto this season.
Gusto was injured, got a couple red cards. I don't know, man.
Good.
But. You're going to like my right back. So let me go into my U21 team this season. You ready for this?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say it, and then I'll tell you what I'm thinking afterwards. All right.
Okay.
U21 team of the season. I'm also going to go Italian for my goalkeeper. We're going to go with Elia Caprile from Empoli. I'll tell you why in a little bit. My left back is Destiny Udogie from Spurs. My center back pairing, also staying within Italy, we've got Riccardo Calafiori from Bologna. We've got Giorgio Scalvini from Atalanta. My right back, you're going to like this, Portugueseman, right? I don't think that's an actual word, but Thiago Santos from Lille. Yep. My midfield is just unparalleled. I mean, Jude Bellingham, Xavi Simons, and Florian Wirtz. And yes, I left off Musiala there. And then up top, I had to go with Girona's season being so dang good, even though he fizzled out a little bit at the end of the season. My left wing is Savio. My striker is it was between Maximilian Bayer and Benjamin Sesko, two guys that should do very well in the Euros, but I went with Maximilian Bayer because he snuck into Europe with Hoffenheim and the German Euro squad with 16 Bundesliga goals, so kudos to him. And then my right wing, obviously, is Lamine Yamal as a flippin' 16-year-old against players like Johan Bakayoko, against Yankuba Minte at Feyenoord, Matthias Sule, who had a wonderful season in Serie A, even if he did kind of slow down some, against Nico Williams and Alejandro Garnacho, other wingers not on their side. So that is my U21 team of the season for me.
No,
but to go back to...
And when
yeah,
you said it, I understood. No, I got to change it. Who
are you changing?
I can't put Camavinga ahead of Bellingham. That is incorrect.
No.
Completely.
Oh, well, that's true.
Completely. So I'm going to re-say my under 23 just so we have the right version, okay? I'm sorry, people, if you were screaming at your screens saying, how is this man half a podcast saying that Jude Bellingham is a Ballon d'Or contender and he's not here? Oh,
and how did I hear
days.
that? How did I not hear that? I completely went through 1 year and out the other. I just assumed you said Jude Bellingham as you said. Yeah.
Not even
all right,
in the
say
subs convo. So my team of 23 and under best this season have Marco Carnasecchi in goal. My three at the back is Joshko Gvardiol, Saliba, Georgios Calvini. My midfield has Jude Bellingham and Phil Foden. I know it's just to fit every single player, people. My left wing back, Destiny Udogi. My right wing back, Jeremy Frimpong. And my three forwards, it's with Vinicius Jr. at the left, Erling Haaland at striker, and Florian Wirtz right wing with the position that he can go everywhere on that pitch. This would be bold, and I'm snubbing Cole Palmer, I'm snubbing Zaire Emery, I'm snubbing Camavinga, I'm snubbing Pedri, I'm snubbing Calafiori, one of the best center backs in the world this season. I'm snubbing a lot, but I think you guys will agree. And thank you, Brett.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh my
God.
God.
Hey. I do what I can.
I started sweating after I realized that.
Well, I think that just goes to show you, I mean, how old we actually perceive Jude Bellingham to be. I mean, he carries himself a whole lot older than 23 in terms of his acceptance. I know, he's only 20. It's unbelievable, the fact that he's in the U21 and the U23. And, like, I don't know, it's unreal. Like, he could be a stud for the next, decade and a half if he wants to be. But the other thing, like, about the midfield, right? The midfield for U23, for U21, and you already mentioned some of the snubs, but even in U21, guys that are not in my team, right? Warren Zaire-Emery, João Neves, Kabi Mainu, Adam Wharton, who came in relatively late. But if you had a full season of Adam Wharton at Crystal Palace, I'd be kind of surprised if he wasn't inching closer. But none of these guys are going to get a sniff of the midfield. If you've got Bellingham, Wirtz, Musiala, Xavi Simons, it's exactly. It's insane that, and there is a significant fall off from the depth that you see in the midfield to the depth that you see in, say, places like the defense and places like strikers, because I think that there's a development type of a difference between the two. There aren't. I think we're all accustomed to the Haalands of the world now, or just the one Haaland of the world. That, like, the only way you can kind of burst onto the scene these days is to score 9 goals in one game, right? And that's just not reality.
Well,
that's not reality, right?
Chesko's coming.
Yes, but Chesko's coming, and who knows? He might even come to Arsenal, like you just said. And behind him, if you want to follow that Red Bull pipeline down the pike, a Karim Konate at RB Salzburg, even though I don't know if you know this, and I'm sure you do because we've talked about it, but I don't know if our listeners know this, but RB Salzburg lost. They are no longer, after 10 plus years, it's not just the German Bundesliga that has changed hands to Bayer Leverkusen. It is the Austrian Bundesliga. RB Salzburg appointed the wrong man, but don't worry, that pipeline is still coming in hot, and Karim Konate, the Ivorian striker, had himself a good season. Brahan Gruda for Mainz in the Bundesliga.
That earned himself a move now to Man City. Savio was one of the best young wingers in the world of football. And the biggest snub maybe for Euro 2024, we got to say Matt O'Reilly. Matt O'Reilly has scored mad goals for Celtic wins the Scottish Cup, wins the league for Celtic, and he doesn't get called up for this Denmark national team that honestly I think needs a player like him in that squad next to a Martin Hulman. Martin Hulman has to start for Denmark. Oh my days, has to start with the players that are there. Again, I think he's better than Højbjerg.
I'm a little surprised because you do want a few unknown quantities, right? Coming into these things, and I feel like Matt O'Reilly could have been a phenomenal one of those guys.
It's like, what?
I know.
What could he have done more?
I know. But just to kind of go back really quickly to the U21 team this season, I mentioned Scalvini and Calafiori. Kind of cheated on Calafiori because he just turned 22. But the center back, I'm not worried about center backs for years to come because we didn't mention Murillo at Forest. We didn't mention Jarell Quansah, 21 years old for Liverpool, standing in. Phenomenal season from him. Pau Kubarsi, Ilya Zabarny, who's going to feature for Ukraine. Jarell Hato. We didn't mention Lenny Yoro. I didn't mention. I mentioned Thiago Santos at the right back. And if you don't know Thiago's name, you're going to see it a lot this summer because there will be fights for his signature. And I didn't mention Jared Branthwaite to be in there.
So and 20 million to sign right now Thiago Santos. It's a bold
I'd do it.
Scenario. And AC Milan, as reports suggest, are the favorites, with Paul Fonseca now being the manager that went from Lille to AC Milan. He could bring Thiago Santos with him. So let us know down below, who would you change in this under-23 and under-21 team? And Jude Bellingham is in both our teams, people, okay? Don't kill us down below in the comment section. And like this video for more videos just like this. And we have now a section that transfers are happening, and we have confirmations of big moves. Kylian Mbappe being the first one. Kylian Mbappe, one day after the UCL final. Naturally, he says, now's the time to say before Euro 2024 that I'm going to join the best team in sports history, Real Madrid, the Galácticos. And next season, the best 3 players in the world will be at Real Madrid. So it's going to be very difficult for someone to stop the 16th happening with Real Madrid, with Jude Bellingham, Vinicius, and Kylian Mbappe.
That's true.
My days.
It is
my days. But it's happening.
It's bonkers.
No more doubts.
It is happening. Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to try and poke holes in it over the next couple months. See if there is going to be a way. Listen. I mean, it's amazing. Kylian Mbappe obviously is accepting less money to do this. Like we've mentioned previously, it's got a little Harry Kane feel to it. But obviously, Kylian Mbappe has won things, but he's got one thing that he has not won, and he wants it, and he wants it right now. And no, that's not a La Liga or a Copa del Rey trophy. That would be the Champions League. So it's gonna be. Buckle up. I mean, if you wanted to see Barcelona back on the top of the La Liga table next season, there's going to have to be movement there. The arms race is just beginning, but first shots fired, Real Madrid, Kylian Mbappe. Deal was done in February, announced yesterday.
What can Barca do to stop Real Madrid next season with Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, with the same manager staying with Carlo Ancelotti? Hansi Flick must be thinking, it's impossible. Impossible. Yeah. And if Laporta got convinced by Hansi Flick, he certainly said, I'm going to beat this Real Madrid team. So am I convinced? Are you guys convinced? I think we're not still with Hansi Flick at Barca. So he's got to go bold in order to beat this team. Because, look, this is what I'll say. If Hansi Flick doesn't succeed with Barcelona until 2025, I'm certain that we're going to see a lot of reports of Pep Guardiola going to Barca after he leaves Man City. And I'm certain that Jurgen Klopp would be enticed towards coaching this Barca team that have the best academy in the world of football right now. Okay? And they've had it in the last 20 years. So that's what they have to bargain with. Academy football.
But imagine Guardiola coming back for the new Camp Nou. Right, being built, and all that good stuff. That obviously is very poetic, and once they start making money off that, all that good stuff.
Exactly.
But you really think Pep Guardiola would come back with the club? the club state financially the way it is, the levers still in everybody's mind, all that craziness. You think Pep would come back?
It's more difficult, obviously, to convince Pep Guardiola right now to go to Barca, but I do believe that Gavi, Pedri, Balde, Cubarsí, Lamine Yamal, Barca have a golden generation
Intriguing.
with them. That if they treat these players the right way, they could sell any of these players for 100 million, and then they can rebuild the squad. But Barca don't have this mentality. Barca, if they had Cole Palmer in their academy, they wouldn't have sold him for 40 million. We've seen so many players leaving Barca academy, Onana, Icardi, for bargain prices, less than 2 million. Less. It's mad what we've been seeing in the past few years, and they gotta have a better business and structure if they're gonna match Real Madrid. No more they can make bad business and live off their name. They got to live off results now, because Man City, Real Madrid, these are the top teams in the world of football, and they have structure and they depend on results. Meritocracy. Meritocracy. Barca, come on.
Well,
Girona, let's see.
Let's.
But my move, Breton,
gosh.
for people, because we're saying this, we're saying that. Who would we get for Barca next summer? If they can convince on loan Xavi Simons and convince the PSG towards giving a Xavi Simons to go against an Mbappe at Real Madrid, that would be beautiful, a great storyline. And the other player I would go hard to get him would be Nico Williams. Nico Williams. On one side, Lamine Yamal. On the other, Nico Williams. It would be the future of the Spanish national team and the future of Barca at the same time. So that would be my transfer. Nico Williams. I'd go hard for him.
Well,
and we can be
you sell Rafinha, you sell Ferran Torres, or which one of those guys you holding on to?
I sell both. I sell both. If I can sell Ferran Torres for the same price he came in, 60 million, that would be amazing. But I think more realistically, Barca can sell Rafinha to the Saudi League for more money than what they bought. So that itself for me would be a sell I would do. A sell I would do. But come on, they still haven't even played Hansi Flick's staff, Barca. So that is not the best scenario. That's why I suggested a loan of Xavi Simons and to bring in a Nico Williams. That I think it's a transfer that makes too much sense not to happen. And
to bring back João Felix, right? On loan?
No, I think that deal won't happen. From what I've been hearing here in Portugal, I think João Felix will not stay at Barcelona next season, and Cancelo will be hard to. I hope Cancelo stays and Felix stays at Barca, but I gotta be realistic to you guys, FC Wonder Kid, and I think they won't stay.
Interesting. Yeah. Once again, Barcelona. You just need to get back to the football, right? Leading the way, and not the inner workings or the lack of transparency or the Joan Laporta dramatic, episodic, whatever adventure that we're going through right now. And once that happens, and it doesn't happen right away, but once it happens, there was a period through this season where we had all forgotten the financial turmoil that Barca was in, or the reality of it, and that's because the football was doing the talking. And then it's just so weird how, it's so weird how it just 180'd. And I know that that's football, but I mean, when you come back to it, there were still great developmental stories coming out of Barca, and there's more behind that.
It's bad structure, right? Bad structure. If Xavi gets fired in the second best season in the last 5 years of football with Barca with 80 points, it makes no sense when the best season was himself last one with winning La Liga with 85. So people, I really go against that decision. But going with this, I wanted to ask you, Breton, we started this transfers with Mbappe. If Mbappe comes, someone has to leave. And right now, the Real Madrid future, we all see Mbappe, we see Vinicius, we see Jude Bellingham. Do we see Rodrigo staying in the next 2 to 3 years? Because I think there's a good chance that he leaves. And if Rodrigo leaves, I think he won't make the same mistake as Neymar, going to a team that is a lot convinced with the project and the money that was Neymar. I think he should go to a Bayern Munich, a Man City, a team with structure that would be a contender to win the Champions League. Do you agree?
I do agree. I do agree. A team with structure, and there are very few few teams, right,
Mm-hmm.
that fit that bill, and you just mentioned them, and that's like it's a very intriguing question because I agree Rodrigo would probably be the first one out, most marketable, still young, still impressionable, but I also would love to know what Rodrigo outside of Real Madrid would look like, right? Would he step it up a whole nother level? Would he take on a leadership role, or does he like being kind of, second chair